I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you I've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not here with me. No, we're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all. We should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back. Starting from scratch, I won't let you go. No, I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go. No, baby, I will not, because I still believe. You're my gravity. You will never be what I expected. Different frequencies, that's why we ain't connected. You know I will make it through. I got nothing to lose but you. It's true you're so far away, and it's true I can feel the same. It's another day, you know you want me to stay, but I go my way. I won't let you go. No, I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go. No, baby, I will not, because I still believe. You're my gravity. You're my gravity. You're calling out my name, but the echo numbs your pain. Sorry, but more than just a shadow, I'm more than just a man. You don't care how I feel, you don't know how I feel. No, you don't know how. I wash away the sorrow till my heart can beat again. You're my gravity. No, you're my gravity. I will let you go. The only thing that I know, you were my gravity, but now I had to leave. I will let you go. Why do you feel that I want? Why do you feel that I want? I know how to breathe into my gravity. 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 I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you I've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not here with me. No, we're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all. We should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back. Starting from scratch, I won't let you go. No, I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go. No, baby, I will not.
Warning. The Duracell Cup Series data file you have attempted to access is out of date. Uploading current file now.
It's a brand new car from stem to stern, and it's never been raced at these speeds.
The next gen car is opportunity.
Everything is different with the exception of like the seat, the steering wheel, and your helmet.
Unknown creates excitement.
Talking about my generation.
Good afternoon, race fans, and welcome to coverage of race number 33 of the 8th season of the NCRA Duracell Next Gen Cup Series, as the Cup Series will stand alone this weekend at Boston International Speedway. This is playoff race number 7. This is the first race of the round of 8. 3 races here: Boston, Daytona, Rockingham, going to determine who the 4 drivers will be that will be racing it out when we get to the season finale in Michigan, of who's going to be the Season 8 Duracell Next Gen Cup Series champion. We will have the lights drivers with us in the final 3 weekends. This is our final stand-alone race weekend for the Cup Series drivers, but going to be a pivotal one as it was really, really close at the conclusion of Arizona Speedway last week as to who advanced, who did not. 2 drivers were able to win their way into this next round, so they got in pretty handily, but it was very close around the cut line. It came down to single-digit points as to who was going to be just above and who was going to be just below. We're currently waiting for our 5 non-charter go-or-go-home drivers to head out onto the racetrack here. They've already used up nearly a minute and a half of the expedited 5 minutes of this qualifying session, so they may only get maybe 1 or 2 good laps to be putting down the 2 fastest speeds here in order to qualify for this weekend's race. And looks like Autumn Brooks is going to be the first one out there, the Mazda out of Garage 55. Our 4 full-time drivers: Brooks, Bryce Egan, Hiccup Bush, and Kyle Langland, all here this weekend. Of course, Brooks, Langland, and even Bryce Egan, he's run a couple of late series starts, but big opportunity here for lights drivers to show up this weekend, not having to pull double duty. The other driver that is here this weekend is the Bishop Family Racing number 43 car. Seth Cole doing the driving duties behind that Dark Horse Mustang this weekend, as Autumn Brooks will hit the line. Not the official lap time yet, as that will be considered the up-to-speed lap. We'll see what the bar is going to be set to here by the 62. Checking to see if anybody else has come out onto the racetrack here, and a few drivers have ventured their way out, but they won't have a whole lot of time here as we are approaching 2 minutes remaining here of this session. Brooks will cross the line and she'll improve from a 4.50 to a 2.55 in the 24-second bracket. That's going to put her currently at P2. Everybody else has gotten out for the most part onto the racetrack and are laying down lap time. Seth Cole right now the fastest. He's just eclipsed the 23s at a 23.993. Bryce Egan behind him going to get a nice tow here off of turn 4 and down to the start-finish line. He'll improve to a 23.893. Cole improved to an 8.87. These two getting the benefit of draft. That could be key into both of them advancing their way in. Seth Cole looking to make his second start on the season. Made his first start finishing 18th. Started 7th in that race. As no improvement there for Cole, and Egan has actually dropped from second to third on the board. Who's jumped to second place? It's Autumn Brooks, who was able to get a toe off of Kyle Langland. She goes to crazy 8s, 23.888. That is 1/1000th off the lap time laid down by Seth Cole. This time about a 10th slower at a 9.88, as Kyle Langland moved up out of the groove there, currently 5th of the 5 drivers that have taken time, a 24.061. Hiccup Bush running some good lap times here, but without the aid of draft, 23.938, his fastest lap. Currently has him 4th on the board, and I believe Bryce Egan has hit pit road. That may be him putting up the proverbial white flag and not being able to advance here, as there will be no improvement out of the lap times on either of these drivers. They're running side by side with each other. Hiccup Bush has no draft. Seth Cole no longer has draft. So I think, with less than 20 seconds remaining, I think we know the 2 drivers that are going to be moving on. Cole and Brooks. How incredible is that? 5 drivers on the racetrack here. Some spread out, some with the aid of draft, and somehow, some way we managed to get lap times separated by 1/1000th of a second for the top 2. Bryce Egan's going to be the only other driver that hit the 23.8s, 23.9 for Hiccup Bush. Langland wasn't even able to break into the 23-second lap times. I say that, and he just went top of the board with zeros on the clock. Langland just last minute sniped to a 23.861. And he just crossed the line and scoring stopped. What a shot clock buzzer beater for Kyle Langland of World NOS Racing. And just like that, Autumn Brooks goes from comfortably in the top 2 to now outside of the cut line. She will miss the show. It'll be Langland and Cole that will actually be the 2 that will transfer in. How about that for some late qualifying dramatics? Look at this. It was looking like Cole and Brooks were going to advance, but Langland must have gotten a little bit of draft there from Autumn Brooks, and he was able to hit a 8.61 that will have him the fastest here in Go or Go Home qualifying. Langland will now get ready to make his 8th start on the season. Cole, who was looking like he was going to be the fastest, now falls to the cut line. He'll transfer for his 2nd start in the season, as he was 2nd, and 1/1000th between him and Brooks is going to be the difference between who is going to partake in tomorrow afternoon's festivities and who is going home early. Brooks, Egan, and Bush will fail to qualify for this weekend's race from Boston. Langland and Cole, those Dark Horse Mustangs, going to get ready now to join the 40 chartered drivers here in the 2nd and final round of qualifying, which is coming up right after this quick break. Thank you for tuning in to today's broadcast on NNSCRA TV. If you enjoyed your watching, it would help us out a lot if you'd hit that like button. Also, if you're not already, be sure to subscribe to become a part of the NNSCRA crew today. And if you're on your phone, be sure to click that bell to be notified whenever we have a broadcast here on NNSCRA TV. Once again, we thank you for your support, and we hope you continue to enjoy today's broadcast. We welcome you back to Boston International Speedway as we now get ready for our 2nd and final round of qualifying. 42 drivers going to be on track here for 10 minutes to lay down that important fastest lap. This is a racetrack that I can't say, it's kind of 50-50. If you're towards the front, you're able to really maintain track position, but if you're at the rear mid portion of the field, you can work your way to the front as well. It really kind of depends on what type of a race car you've got, I think, especially on the long run. We ended up seeing what drivers are able to do on the long run last week in that elimination race at Arizona Speedway. Because of that elimination race, we're going to have to search for our remaining playoff contenders here in the sea of greats cars, because you go back to beginning portion of the playoffs, we had 16 drivers of our 42 starters that had those gold playoff spoilers. Now there are only 8 drivers left with those spoilers. So we'll try and see where those 8 playoff contenders are going to be. We had 2 playoff contenders race their way into this round of 8. As a matter of fact, one of them just ahead of Anthony McCurry there, and that is Jack Mitchell. Went to victory lane last week at the Arizona Speedway. First time that he's had a multi-win season here in the Duracell Next Gen Cup Series, and that actually propelled him to finish second in the point standings back in that second round, 7 points back from the other driver who won his way into this next round of the playoffs, that being Reggie Fogelman. Because of their victories back in the previous round, both Jack Mitchell and Reggie Fogelman are tied for the points lead. They got 5 bonus points for their respective wins, so they are at 3,005 points each. The other 6 drivers currently 5 points back at 3,000. Speaking of the drivers that got eliminated last week, Matt Haas, 3-time winner on the season. Daytona 500 winner was one of the drivers that got eliminated. Also eliminated was another 3-time winner on the season, and James Qualls. 1-time winner Ryan Brommer, who of course ended up getting the regular season championship, and Levi McIntyre, who I think a big thing for him was he didn't have any bonus points once the playoffs began. He was one of, I believe, 2 drivers that advanced into the playoffs that did not have a victory. The other one being Nick Gunther, who is still searching for his first victory of Season 8. Daniel Voiles came into this round of the playoffs in the 7th seed. He was a total of 9 points above the cut line, had himself an 11th place finish last week at Arizona Speedway. That was enough for him to advance his way in. Cut it close, though, because he went into that race below the cut line, but was able to do exactly what he needed to get himself enough points to advance his way here into this next round. And if with the lap time we saw out of Kyle Langland, who's right there back in the first round of qualifying, is anything to go by, keep an eye on that World NOS Racing number 26. He might be able to find himself a good qualifying effort here today. Carson Gum advanced his way into the next round of the playoffs. 3-time winner on the season as well. Solid second round for the 19 car as he finished 3rd in the standings. He was 9 points out of the points lead, and he finished runner-up in last week's race at Arizona. It was pretty much going to be between him and Jack Mitchell in the closing stages of that one. Carson obviously would have loved to have added a 4th victory to his resume here in Season 8, tied Dustin Bowen for most wins on the season, but hey, he got himself the maximum points you probably could get without taking the checkered flag, so still some good momentum for him. Same can be said for Alexander Rowe. Alexander Rowe coming into this race, and I believe he is the 4th seed. Alexander Rowe, he struggled a bit last week, actually, but he had built up enough of a cushion for himself in the first 2 races of the round of 12 that last week's finish of 34th did not hurt him enough to drop him down below the cut line. He ended up finishing 12 points out of the points lead. He dropped from actually the points lead to 4th in the standings at the conclusion of that race, but again, had such a good start to the round of 12 that poor performance last week did not hurt him in advancing. Reggie Fogelman, we documented Jack Mitchell winning his way into the round of 8. Reggie Fogelman was able to do the same. He did that as early as Dover, and he was able to go into Atlanta and Arizona worry-free, knowing he was going to compete for this championship here in the next round. He didn't let up, though. Reggie Fogelman actually finished the highest of the 8 playoff contenders that advanced. He was the points leader when the checkered flag waved last week at Arizona, and he had a comfortable 29-point gap between himself and the 8th in standings cut line. So even if he hadn't won back at Dover, very likely that Reggie Fogelman would have advanced into this round of 8. 4.5 minutes remaining here, and I forgot to bring the lap times up there, so apologies for that. You're going to see them start scrolling here after updates from the drivers that took part in the Go or Go Home qualifying session here in round 1. Eric Sadler's actually top of the board right now in the 12 car, the rookie out of Young Motorsports. Speaking of Young Motorsports, there's another of their drivers who is a playoff contender still, RJ Bishop, and he probably was the one that breathed the biggest sigh of relief at the conclusion of Arizona Speedway last week, because he finished 8th in the point standings. He got a top 10, 10th position is where he finished. He ended up having a total of 9 points back to his nearest competitor in Ryan Brommer, so a bit of breathing space, but some tense moments there for the Monster Energy Ford GT500. Maybe a big reason because at one point RJ Bishop had actually fallen back into the mid-teens, closer towards maybe falling outside of the top 20. Had a good pit stop in the closing stages, gained some track position, was able to maintain it, and he advances his way here into this round of 8. There's the fastest car right now at Boston. Eric Sadler looking for his second win on the season. He won back at North Wilkesboro. He got eliminated back in the round of 16, but hey, now that rookie can just go out there and try and rack up some more checkered flags in his young career. There's James Qualls. He was a driver that was eliminated from the playoffs last week. Where did Qualls finish in that race? I believe he finished pretty far down in the running order at Arizona. Oh, he finished dead last, did Qualls. So, yeah, that was definitely not the run he needed in the situation he was in. There's Destin Bolin, one of our remaining 8 playoff contenders, 4-time winner on the season. Destin showed up last week at Arizona. Destin was actually the cut line driver going into that race at Arizona. He didn't exactly have a lot of momentum on his side either, but he brought it home solidly inside of the top 10, 6th place. He gained a couple of spots because of that, finished 6th in the standings at the end of the night, had 12 points in hand over the 8th and standings cut line. So that was a big performance for that driver out of Young Motorsports. I would honestly say his biggest race outside of his 4 victories this season. It was a must-perform race, and he was able to do just that. So one other playoff driver we have not talked about. See if we can find him here. There he is. Well, it took a long time to cycle through to find the 55 Mazda out of Garage 55, that being Nick Gunther. Nick had a quiet round of 12, I think we could say. He ended up going into that elimination race 5th in the point standings, and he left Arizona still 5th in points. He had himself a solid top 15 run, 15th place at Arizona last week. Kind of a quiet, as I said, very quiet round of 12. Now needs to perform here in the round of 8. Gunther trying to advance a Mazda into the Final Four for the very first time here in Duracell Next Gen Cup Series history. And those are the 8 drivers that will be competing here in this next round of the playoffs. Fogelman, Mitchell, Gum, Rowe, Gunther, Boland, Voiles, and Bishop, as Ryan Brommer, James Qualls, Levi McIntyre, and Matt Haas were the 4 drivers eliminated last week. Let's now focus our attention on who is fast here at Boston. We already documented about Eric Sadler. He is top of the board in that number 12 car out of Young Motorsports. 23.493 the lap time he's put down. Just a ways behind him is currently the driver scheduled to share the front row with him, the recently eliminated Levi McIntyre. And remember, we mentioned Levi is one of 2 drivers that made it into the playoffs that did not have a victory, Gunther being the other. Pressure is kind of off Levi McIntyre now to go out there and rack up points. He could be aggressive this weekend and try and break into that win column here in Season 8 as zeros on the clock. Doesn't look like anybody's going to challenge Sadler or McIntyre for the front row. Fords are going to sweep the podium as Eric Monaco, another rookie, is sitting in 3rd. Ryan Brommer's Toyota currently in 4th, and Casey Hoyt is currently in the 5th position, highest running Chevrolet. If you're wondering about our highest starting playoff driver right now, looks like that might be Alexander Rowe, who is currently scored in the 9th position, and if this holds, he'll be the only playoff driver to start this race from inside of the top 10. Next closest to him be Carson Gum, who's currently 11th fastest. So it looks like our 8 playoff drivers, they are going to be quite spread out through the field here for tomorrow afternoon's race. As session is concluded, Lap times are no longer scored, and Eric Sadler is going to capture the pole position. Let me double check here and see if this is his first pole of his career. And yes, it is his first pole of his career, as he will net it here at Boston. He will now have a pole and a win to his credit. And who knows, maybe if he can translate this into his second win of the season, he can get back into that Rookie of the Year battle. Henson, Monaco, it's been back and forth between those two. They're actually tied for the rookie points lead coming to this one. Eric Sadler is a distant third, 9 points back. He could utilize good starting track position here tomorrow, maybe translate it into a win, maybe a solid top 5 to close that gap back up with only 4 races remaining. Levi McIntyre, 1 week removed from getting eliminated. Same for Ryan Brommer. They're going to start up inside of the top 5. James Qualls, another driver that was eliminated last week. All 3 of them going to start inside the top 10, with McIntyre second, Brommer in 4th, and Qualls in 8th. You got Casey Hoyt there in 5th position, the highest of the Chevrolets. Cody Lamas. We've seen a lot of speed out of Cody Lamas these last couple of weeks down the home stretch, and he shows it here in qualifying. Brings it, going to start it off on the outside of row 3 and 6th. Connor Breton, another Northeast Motorsports car, going to start up towards the front in 7th. Alexander Rose, we documented your highest playoff driver in 9th. And Summer Henson's going to complete the top 10. So Rowe is the only driver of the playoff contenders that's going to start inside of the top 10. Carson Gum just outside in 11th. Where are the other 6 playoff drivers? Looks like Nick Gunther is going to be back in 17th. RJ Bishop in 18th place. You got to go all the way down to 26th before you find Jack Mitchell. Daniel Voiles is in 31st. Destin Bolin in 36th, and Reggie Fogelman is going to be the driver starting deepest in the field of the playoff contenders, as he'll be rolling off the grid from 38th place. Remember, we saw Reggie Fogelman in the first race of the round of 12 win his way into this round. He's got a pretty tall mountain to climb to be able to try and do that for the second straight round, but like I said, Boston is a racetrack where you can make passes. If you have a good long run car, if you can preserve the tires, you can work your way up to the front. We'll have to see if a playoff driver goes to victory lane and automatically locks themselves into the final 4. The odds are not in favor of it with the playoff to non-playoff driver ratio, but stranger things have happened. You never know what you're going to see here. Thank you all for tuning into this qualifying session. Congratulations to Eric Sadler on his first career pole. He'll be leading us to green here tomorrow afternoon at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here at the Boston International Speedway. Again, just the Cup drivers here this weekend. We'll have double headers with the lights drivers for the final 3 races of the season: Daytona, Rockingham, and Michigan. But until tomorrow afternoon, thank you for tuning in to this qualifying session. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, part of the crew today. We've shown your starting lineup for tomorrow afternoon's race, and until then, I've been Seth Cole. You've been watching another broadcast courtesy of NNSCRA TV, offline racing at its best.
The following has been a presentation of NNSCRA TV for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this telecast or any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the consent of the NNSCRA is prohibited. NNSCRA would like to thank all of our loyal fans, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.